when President Trump slapped a historic 145% tariff on Chinese goods. He promised it would protect American industries and bring back jobs. What he didn't say was that it would also blow a crater-sized hole in America's ports, retailers, farms, and factories. Today, that crater is no longer theoretical. Container ships from China are disappearing. U.S. ports are quieter than they have been in 2 decades. Retail inventories are shrinking. Farm exports are collapsing. And every warning light in the American supply chain is flashing red. So what really happened? And what's coming next for millions of Americans already seeing the shelves thinning out? In this video, let's break it down. It didn't begin with a bang. It began with silence, the kind that creeps into supply chains and hollows them out. At the port of Los Angeles, where once cranes handled hundreds of Chinese containers, the rhythm has stopped. Jean Sirota, the port's executive director, made it painfully clear. Container traffic has dropped over 50%, the steepest plunge since the early 2000s. This isn't a seasonal dip or pandemic-era bottleneck. This is a full-scale economic blockade which is self-inflicted. The culprit? A seismic 145% tariff imposed by the Trump administration on nearly all Chinese goods, turning America's busiest trade artery into a ghost corridor. Ships are docking half-empty, some are skipping U.S. ports altogether, and warehouse managers across the country are watching their inventory numbers plummet. What began as a trade tactic is now shattering the structural backbone of American retail. Retailers across the country, from coastal megastores to inland mom-and-pop shops, are entering survival mode. With Chinese imports no longer viable, shelves that once overflowed with gadgets, cookware, phone accessories, lighting equipment, toys, and textiles are emptying out. Some store owners are desperately hiking prices, not out of greed, but because the cost of replenishing stock is now nearly double. Others are shutting their doors permanently. But the import collapse is also dragging down American logistics. Container routes are being cut. Warehouses are sitting idle. Independent trucking firms, which rely on continuous port traffic, are already reporting layoffs. The ripple effects are reaching deep into transport, storage, and even packaging industries, which now face a dearth of goods to move, store, or wrap. And there's no quick fix. Even the optimistic view that the U.S. could replace Chinese suppliers with domestic manufacturing is largely a fantasy. Factories can't be restructured overnight. Raw material chains aren't magically rerouted. Economies don't onshore overnight. America isn't ready to self-supply. That's the hard truth, and it's showing up at checkout lines with fewer options and rising prices, especially for items like electronics, housewares, and holiday goods. This is where the import story merges with something even more sinister: the death spiral of American exports. While the country struggles to bring in essential goods, it's also losing its power to ship them out. You see, trade doesn't flow one way. As America chokes its own import arteries, the other side of the equation, exports, is bleeding out. China hasn't just stopped sending goods to the U.S. It's retaliating with brutal tariffs of its own, and the hardest blow has landed straight in the heart of rural America. The country that once bought over $25 billion a year in U.S. agricultural products is walking away, and fast. Soybean farmers were the first casualties. With a 125% retaliatory tariff slapped on American soy, Chinese buyers fled. Entire harvests are sitting unsold, rotting in silos. One Illinois farmer told local media, "I might as well not plant this year. My buyer's gone." Pork producers have it just as bad. Just this week, China canceled a 12,000-ton order, the largest pork deal to fall through since 2020. Those pigs still need to be fed, housed, slaughtered, and stored, but now there's nowhere to send them. Prices are in freefall, and it doesn't stop there. Dairy exports, once the pride of Midwestern farms, are collapsing under pressure from both China and Mexico. Cheese, milk, and butter prices are tanking. Almond growers in California, who depended on Chinese and Indian buyers, are begging for government bailouts. Apple farms in Washington are watching orders vanish overnight. The data doesn't lie. At the Port of Portland, export traffic has fallen 51%. At Tacoma, it's down 28%. 10 major ports across the U.S. are reporting double-digit declines in outbound shipments. Processing facilities are halting production. Trucks are parked with no destinations. Seasonal farm workers are being let go. The machinery of American agriculture, one of the few sectors that reliably runs a trade surplus, is grinding to a halt. The Agriculture Transportation Coalition didn't sugarcoat it. This is not a temporary disruption. This is a full-blown crisis. Unlike retail stores, farmers can't pivot. You can't redirect 10,000 acres of soy to another market overnight. You can't breed new pigs for countries with different import rules. And you can't replace the sheer buying power of China with smaller, fragmented markets. But what makes this even worse is that the same ports that are failing to bring goods in are now failing to ship them out. Idle docks aren't just losing imports, they are losing exports too. The collapse is mutual. The lifeblood of global trade has become a bottleneck, choking the country from both directions. And while Washington scrambles to promise a new farm aid package, the reality on the ground is dire. Equipment is being repossessed. Family farms, already under pressure from corporate consolidation, are going under. Local banks in farming counties are tightening lending, seeing rising defaults on agricultural loans. This isn't just a trade issue anymore. This is turning into a rural financial collapse. But as the farm economy enters freefall, the consequences don't stay in the countryside. They move inland into cities, shopping centers, and grocery aisles. And that's where the next chain reaction begins, the great retail extinction. From local strip malls to national chain stores, the signs are no longer subtle. Storefronts are dark. Windows are papered over. The once bustling commercial heartbeat of American towns is beginning to flatline. Since January 2025, over 64,000 retail jobs have disappeared, a staggering 296% jump compared to the same period last year. But behind that number is something more ominous. Entire companies are collapsing. Jo-Ann Fabrics, Party City, and Big Lots have all filed for bankruptcy. Now, Rite Aid, once a staple in almost every suburb, is preparing to liquidate all remaining stores. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on the latest news stories on geopolitics, economics, and current affairs impacting your lives. In malls across America, you don't need statistics to see the damage. Vacant units outnumber occupied ones. Food courts are deserted. Parking lots, once filled on weekends, now resemble forgotten industrial zones. The collapse isn't just about empty buildings. It's about how fast supply chains and consumer confidence are unraveling. Why is this happening so rapidly? Because tariffs have turned basic retail math upside down. An item that cost $20 to import now costs $45 with tariffs applied. Retailers can't raise prices that much without scaring off customers, and they certainly can't afford to sell at a loss. So many are doing the only thing they can, canceling orders, delaying shipments, or shutting down altogether. Some businesses are even storing inventory in Chinese warehouses because it's cheaper to delay a shipment abroad than to pay U.S. tariffs to bring it in. But this tactic is just a temporary band-aid. Eventually, the warehouses are empty. The catalogs shrink. The revenue dries up. Retailers are getting crushed between falling demand, skyrocketing costs, and evaporating margins. Interestingly, China is bleeding from this trade war too. Manufacturing activity has contracted for the first time since the 2022 COVID aftershocks. The Purchasing Managers' Index, a key metric of economic health, has fallen below 50, signaling contraction. New export orders are drying up. Foreign capital is more cautious. Investment forecasts have been downgraded. And yet, China isn't panicking. It's pivoting. Beijing is rapidly deepening trade with Brazil, Russia, the Middle East, and even Africa. It's diversifying supply chains, expanding the Belt and Road Initiative, and using state-owned banks to keep key industries afloat. While American retailers are folding, Chinese factories are being repurposed to serve new customers. Why can China wait this out? Because unlike the U.S., it doesn't just import and consume. It produces, manufactures, and exports at a scale unmatched by any other nation. And it has a long-term strategy. Even as American farmers and store owners struggle to make it through the month, Chinese planners are looking 5 years ahead, redrawing trade maps. The contrast is shocking. In the U.S., there's no clear Plan B. There's no government-led manufacturing pivot, no emergency trade realignment, no aggressive policy to replace lost Chinese imports or buyers. While Beijing is building lifeboats, Washington is still rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. And this strategic asymmetry is what turns the U.S.-China trade war into something far more dangerous than economic friction. It's a systemic crisis where one side can suffer and adapt, and the other can only suffer. This is why the America First tariff strategy is now producing its most bitter fruit. Interestingly, there will be no winner. Yet, there will be a loser who will be crushed, and it will be the United States. When President Trump pitched tariffs as a way to make America rich again, the argument was simple: penalize foreign goods, make domestic ones more competitive, and bring jobs back. But that fantasy has shattered against the cold reality of modern global economics. What we got instead was that imported goods became more expensive overnight. Empty shelves are emerging as shipping containers vanish and inventory runs dry. Exports have collapsed, wiping out billions in farm income and destabilizing rural economies. Bankruptcies have surged, not just fringe businesses, but national names. Mass layoffs now define retail, logistics, and farming sectors that were once America's economic bedrock. Small businesses are being cornered with no alternative supply chains and no leverage to survive. And yet, amid this collapse, the former president has downplayed the fallout. In a recent interview, Trump said Americans should simply have fewer toys and buy fewer pencils, as if this were a matter of consumer excess rather than a full-blown structural unraveling. But telling a working-class family they don't need a microwave or a farmer, he doesn't need a buyer, is not policy. It's abdication. There are no winners here. Not in the U.S., not in China, not in the global economy. This isn't a strategy. It's a high-stakes game of chicken with the working class stuck in the middle. And the worst part? We haven't even hit bottom yet. What do you think? Are these tariffs worth the price for Trump? Will the U.S. walk back the policy or double down? In the comment section below, share your thoughts on how many more businesses will be sacrificed before someone says, "Enough?" Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring the latest news stories on geopolitics, economics, changing world order and current affairs, things you need to stay informed. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.